Good morning, Stampers. It's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and I'm live here this morning bringing you a live demonstration of Spooktacular Bash. It's a brand new stamp set, a stamp suite out of the holiday catalog, and there are lots of great products that go along with this, and this is just a little page out of here. We have some paper coffins that are pre-scored. We have ribbon, a scrolled embossing folder, some enamel shapes. Today I'm going to be showing you just the stamp set and the coordinating frames called the ornate frames. And these are a couple of them. I have a couple off to the side that we're going to be using for our projects. So if you're live and if you can see me, would you let me know if the video is right side up or upside down? I have a new phone and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm right side up instead of doing the whole video upside down today. Let me know you're here and how you're doing today. That would be great. Okay, I got us up over on my iPad so I can kind of see what's going on there too. So again, today we're going to talk about Spooktacular Bash. I have 3 great projects for you to share for treats this Halloween. I also have a to-go class, so if you need more information for that, you'll find it in the link. If you're watching in Facebook, you'll find it in the link above. If you're watching in YouTube now, you'll find it in the link below. So let's get started. Let me show you the projects that we're going to make today. Halloween is one of my favorite times of year. I don't normally dress up, but I like to spookify my yard and my house and pass out treats. So this is one of the treats we're going to make, and I'm just going to pull this off so I can show you what's inside. Every year, for all the different holidays, of course, they make peeps. I found these little Frankenstein monster peeps, and I thought they'd be really cute. And so I wanted to make a hole so you could see through there. So that is one of the projects we're going to be making. Let me get this ribbon back on here. And then the next project we're going to be making is this, and it kind of looks like a gravestone. And inside I have some Halloween Oreos. Who wouldn't like to get those? So that's project number 2. Let me bring back project number 1. And then this is number 3. It's just got a little binder clip at the top. And then I did some cutting up there, and it's got a pack of M&Ms inside. I really wanted to get the glow-in-the-dark ones, but when I first purchased these, I couldn't find the glow-in-the-dark, so that's what I would put inside if I'm making more, is some of the glow-in-the-dark. So there's that. So let's go ahead and get started. Give me just a minute to get all of the supplies for the first project. And I am going to make this one a little bit different. I did get these ghost peeps, and the face in this one is a little bit higher, and I realized that the tab coming down covered his face. So we're just going to make the box so it closes towards the back, but that's okay. I'll show you how to do it. And if you're new to stamping with me, I want you to not feel overwhelmed. I like to create 3D projects, but I never want anyone to feel overwhelmed. If you are wanting to make these projects, the replay will be available after I'm done live, and you can pause as many times and rewind as many times as you need to so that you can create the projects along with me. So I'm going to tell you what we need. We need a piece of paper, and I'm using Gorgeous Grape, piece of cardstock I should say, 10 by 8. I'm using the Monster Bash Designer Series paper, and I have 2 pieces cut at 5 1/4 by 3, 1 piece cut at 1 inch by 5 1/4, and 2 pieces cut at 1 inch by 3 inch. I also have a little scrap, and that's just to do this piece here. And then I did already use one of the frames, and I cut this orange piece out, so we have that. And then the piece that came out from the inside here. There's another frame that fits right inside, and so I use that to cut this out to be able to see the face. And I'm going to use this piece on the back side of the tag. So I'll save that piece. And then we just need some rhinestones that I did color red, cherry cobbler. I put those right here. And I just used my cherry cobbler Stampin' Blends marker. And I colored those, let them dry real quick, and then stuck them on there. So we do need to do a little bit of scoring, and we need to do a little bit of big shot work. So I'm going to grab my scoring tool first. And on the short end, which is the 8-inch end, we're going to score at 1 1/4 and 6 3/4. And then we're going to turn it to the long side, and we're going to score at 1 inch, 2 1/4, 5 1/2, and 6 3/4. And that's it for scoring. All right, now we do need a pair of paper snips, and we're going to cut a little bit away. So I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to wait for my video to catch up here. You're going to cut at the top where there's 2 squares here. We're going to cut both of those out. And cut to the outside of the score line so that you cut it off of the piece that's going to be remaining. And you're going to do that on both sides. And then the other thing you're going to do is right here, there's a little square inside. You're going to cut up to that first score line. And then we're going to cut a little angle. That just helps our box to close together a little bit better. And so we've done that on both sides. Now we do want to fold our score lines. Let me get my bone folder here. We just want to burnish all of the lines so that our score lines so that our box goes together really well. And then the one last place that I want to make a cut, this is going to be the little tab that feeds down into the box. So I'm just going to cut at a little bit of an angle up to that first score line there. Again, over there. And then we need to do a little bit of cutting. So I told you that I was going to do this one a little bit different. And so normally when you put the box together, this would close down in there. But I'm going to make this part to the back. So this is the front of our box. We need to do a little bit of work on the big shot. We're going to cut that hole right here. So I'm going to take a little bit of snail and I'm just going to attach this very lightly because I want to cut through both pieces. So the next thing that we need to do is we're going to lay our peeps right here and then kind of close the box up to make sure that's where we want them to be. And so they're perfectly centered here. Now I'm going to take a couple pieces of washi tape. And I want to cut around where his face is, so the cutting part of this is up. I'm going to put the washi tape on the back part, not the cutting part. So the sticky part is up here. The cutting part is here, the sticky part's here. I'm going to put that around where I want my ghost to be cut out. Don't worry about if it's not exactly straight because we can center it up when we get it over here. So what this is going to do is when I close this up, it's going to put it exactly where I need it for this front piece. So when I cut it through on the big shot, it's going to be right where we need it. So make sure that you're in line with these score lines where the box is going to fold up. and then you're along this line here, and gently bring your box forward and just kind of push down so that gets on there. So see, that's there. Now, I like to just kind of eyeball and make sure, and you could measure to make sure you're exact, but if it's a little crooked, I'm not that worried. So just make sure that it's hooked on there very well. So now it's going to cut up. I'm sorry, to cut down. So we need to fit this in the Big Shot, and if these tabs are open, it won't fit through. So we're gonna close it like this, and let me bring the Big Shot up. And I'm going to set this in here, and I am going to close the tabs, and I'm going to feed my top plate right over the top of that. And I'm not going to take it all the way through. I'm only going to take it through far enough to get that piece cut out. All right, I think that should do it. And now all we need to do is take this piece off, and it may rip off, the washi tape may rip off a little bit, but it's on the inside of the box, so that's okay. All right, I don't want to lose my framelit, so I'm going to make sure and put that back right where I know where it is. And then I can save this piece for something else. And then there's our hole. Now, you might be wondering, why did I not attach this in the first place with a stronger adhesive? I want to be able to get adhesive right around this part of the opening. So you could just put some adhesive on here, or I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive to put this down. And it is a little trickier to get it attached once you have all those corners on there, but like I said, you want to make sure and have adhesive around this part that's cut out. Otherwise, it will come apart up here at the opening. All right, so now that's all attached, and now we can go ahead and assemble our box. And so again, your piece of designer paper is going to be here. Your box opening is going to be to the back, only because on this one, the ghost face was a little higher. On this one, the ghost face was a little lower, so I can have the opening to the front. Let's go ahead, and you want to use a strong adhesive. So again, you could use the liquid adhesive. Just to save time in the video, I'm going to use my fast fuse, but if I was creating this for a class, I would use either tear and tape, or I would use liquid adhesive. So you want to make sure that because your box is folding to the back, that this tab right here will eventually fold that way. So I'm going to bring the back tab forward. Whoops. To create my the back of my box. Whoop, one more time on that side. And now I want to put adhesive here so that my box will close up. And you could easily use the liquid adhesive or the tear and tape for this. You just want something strong because it's obviously a box and someone will be opening and closing it, and you don't want it to fall apart. Okay, so now the box is assembled. We just need to put our other designer paper. I'm going to go ahead and put the peeps right inside, and you can see my ghost face shows right through, and I can close that. And then let's put our designer paper on here. This is the one, again, this is 1 inch by 5 1/4. That's going to go on the top. And then the 1 inch by 3 inches are going to go on the sides. And just make sure your writing is, if you have a pattern, that it's going in the right direction. And then I have one more piece for the back. And then we need to put this little ornate frame right here around the ghost face. So I'm going to use some of my liquid adhesive for that again and just put it in the places where I have a solid piece to attach. And there it goes, fits perfectly. Hopefully I got enough adhesive up there at the top. If I didn't, I can always touch it up later. Now we do need to do a little bit of stamping here. At the top I have a little tag that says open if you dare, so let me get that stamp. And my Memento black ink, I'm going to set that aside for a minute. And then I will need to really quickly cut that out. This is one of the other frame dies that I'm going to use, and that one fits perfectly around here. So I just need to cut that one out real quickly. Whoop. The glue stuck to my finger and pulled it off of there. All right, so we have this piece. I'm going to set my frame lid aside, and I'm going to attach this to this piece, the white piece to the pumpkin pie. Just center it up right on there. And then I am going to use a little hole punch, a handheld punch, and I do have to punch through that skeleton that's on there because that's what holds my tag. And then I need my ribbon real quick before I put that on. So I'm just going to take some of this new scalloped edge ribbon that's also in that suite and bring enough around so that we can tie a bow. And then this piece here, we're going to use a little bit of the white baker's twine. Feed that through the hole there. And then I'm just going to tie that right around the knot here, or the knot in the bow. Make sure my sign is going the right way. And I'll just tie another bow right on top of that. Looks like I have a little too much of the baker's twine. There we go. And so there we go. One is a ghost, one is a Frankenstein monster, both really cute. Oh, I forgot to put the rhinestones on there. Let me put those on real quick, because that makes it extra spooky. And I can't find my take your pick tool, so I'm going to use my finger. There we go. There. Now they're all done. So 2 projects with the peeps, and someone's going to love this if you give it to them. Let's move on to project number 2. We're going to do this spooky coffin box. And what you need for that is a piece of, let me turn it this way so you can see. I have a piece of smoky slate cardstock cut at 5 inches by 8.5, so you'd be able to get 2 of these out of 1 piece of cardstock. This piece is 2 inches by 4 1/4. I did cut another one of those ornate frames, and that would be this one right here. And then I need a piece of scrap paper for the mummy and for the spooky part. So let's go ahead and do the stamping first. And we'll do the mummy. And then again, I'm going to use one of the framelit dies to cut him out. And it matches perfectly. I don't normally do this much cutting with the Big Shot, but I just want to show you how the dies match up. And so there's that one. And then I'm going to cut this one before I stamp it so that I can make sure the spooky fits on there perfectly. And I'm going to run this through. And then one last thing while I have the Big Shot out is I'm going to show you how I did the top of the tombstone. And it might be a little hard to see, but I did run this die, which cuts out another piece we're going to use in the next project. I just wanted to do that at the top of that 2-inch piece so that it gave it a little dimension. So again, this 2-inch by 4 1/4 piece, I'm just going to put this here almost at the top. I want to make sure to be able to cut that, and we're only going to cut the top part. So let me do this again, get that lined up. We're going to bring our cutting plate just to where we want it to cut, and then carefully hold it. That way it won't cut through the whole piece of paper. And so you can see by doing that, it just cut the top part. Now, I did want to make this a little bit spooky, so I took my Smoky Slate ink and I took a sponge dauber and I just kind of sponged around the edges. Because in an old spooky graveyard, things aren't nice and neat and pretty. They're old and have some cobwebs on them. So we're going to do that here. And then maybe let's even, I didn't on this one, but let's do it on this one too. All right. Well, we better do the sign too while we're at it. Okay. And then we just need our spooky words. And we're going to stamp spooky on this little piece. Let me make sure I have it right side up. I'm using Gorgeous Grape ink. So there's that part. And then on this one, I colored my mummy gray. I thought I would try it using my crumb cake and see what he looks like in crumb cake. Not too bad. I think I'll use the crumb cake on this one. And I'm just coloring him real quickly. Give him a little bit of color. You could do some blending with the blend markers, but wanted this to be kind of a quick project. Okay, so all of these pieces are done. I am going to put this on with a dimensional, so I can do that now. But we do need to do some scoring for our box. So let me put those pieces aside. And we're going to do some scoring on this piece, which again is 5 by 8 1/2. And I'm going to get my scoring tool. On the short side, we'll start with the long side. We're going to do 3 1/2 and 5. Then we're going to turn it to the short side, which is the 5-inch side, and we're going to do 1 1/2 and 3 1/2. Well, 3 1/2. There we go. We need our paper snips again, and these squares right here in the middle, we're going to cut up to the first score line. Again, just cut that little wedge out of there. It just helps the box to go together just a little bit easier. How are you liking these projects? Are you a Halloween kind of person? Do you like to watch the trick-or-treaters or decorate your house? Make little treats to give out to people? Leave me a comment or give me the love button if you like Halloween. So we're going to do the same that we did the other box. This little tab right here. We're going to put some adhesive on. We're going to bring the back right up. I think that I forgot to say, we needed to use our bone folder to burnish all of these edges again. Always we do, to make sure that our box comes together really well. And if you're not a Halloween person, you could easily adapt these projects for sure. That one with the marshmallow peeps, you and I both know they have peeps for every holiday of the year now. So you could easily put whatever peeps they have available in the 3-pack at Christmas time in that box and just use a Christmas paper. And if there wasn't a face on something, you could leave that hole out. So it's easily adaptable. Now that our box is all done, this is my back side, so I'm going to use this as my front, and I'm going to put the tombstone on with a couple dimensionals. I am going to put the dimensionals on the box because the tombstone is actually a little bit taller than my box. And then we're just going to put that right on top there. There we go. Now we need to assemble the rest. I already put this one on with a dimensional, so I'm going to just put this one on with a little bit of adhesive. And then this spooky, I am going to put on with a couple dimensionals. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is make a bow, again with my scalloped edge ribbon. And you can see it's just one of the edges is scalloped, but it still makes a nice bow. And then I'm going to cut the edges. Just so they have a nice edge there. And I'm going to use a glue dot. And put on the back of there. And then I'm just going to put up here in the corner. Kind of bring the edges down. And then lastly, we need to add our little Oreos inside. And in case you're wondering, I got these at Sam's Club. It's a box of like 45. Some of them are Halloween and some of them are double stuff. So if you have someone that really likes the double stuff Oreos, that will be perfect for them. So there we are, project number 2, spooky project. Which is your favorite? This is the smoky slate and this one's the crumb cake. I'm having a hard time deciding which one I like the best. I'll leave these here for you while I get the supplies for the last project. Okay, let's put these aside. And here is the last project. Have a spooktacular Halloween. You need a piece of black or whatever color cardstock you're going to use. Cut it 2 3/4 by 9. So you should be able to get 3 of these out of 1 sheet of cardstock. And this one is going to be scored just in 2 places. Let me grab my scoreboard. At 4.5 and 5. All right, and again, we want to use our bone folder just to make sure that we have a nice crease here. And then, because there's that gap in the middle, we want to bring these 2 edges, I know it's real hard to see, but bring the 2 edges together so that where we scored it at the bottom is nice and flat and these 2 edges are together. Now with your paper snips, we just want to cut some little jagged, let me take this off so it's easier to see, some little jagged pieces at the top. So literally just start in the corner and snip. You can make them as deep as you want them or as shallow. Just keep your two pieces of paper together. If they fall apart a little bit, that's okay, because it just makes it more spooky. Okay, so there's all of that. That's what it should look like. Let me move these little triangles out of the way. Okay, so we do have one little piece to stamp. I did stamp some for you. We need to stamp this Spooktacular Halloween, and then we need to cut it out real quick. And this is the same, we use this same framelit right here for the top of the gravestone. So we're just going to stamp that right on there with the black Memento ink. Let me cut this out real quick and we'll be ready to assemble this. Okay, got a little piece of paper on there. Now this is again part of the Monster Bash paper, and I cut this at 2.5 by 3.5. Well, I probably should have used that to get a different effect, but too late, I already glued it. We're going to put that right there in the center. I'll have to make another one using the bats on the other side because I think that would be real cute too. I used my 2-inch circle punch, and this time instead of pumpkin pie, I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape. And I'm just going to kind of offset that to the left a little bit. I am going to put this sign up with a couple dimensionals. I guess by a couple I mean 4. And there is that part. Now, I didn't want you to have to watch me stamp these and then cut them out, but this is a stamp and all 3 pieces are together. There is not a die to cut them out, but they cut out pretty quickly. So I did cut those and I colored them. The frog is in Granny Apple Green, the bones are in Smoky Slate, and the spider is orange. I did use, let me bring it up here so you can see it. This is the everyday label punch that I used to make this fence in the back. And so I'm just going to punch some of those. I'm using soft suede. I think I need 5 of these. And I do need to cut a little bit off of 4 of them because they're a little bit too tall if I don't. So I'm just going to bring them all together and use my paper snips and just cut this little, about this much off, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to turn them all over, put some adhesive on the back. That everyday label punch makes a great picket fence. I use it a lot for that. And then we're just going to put these on here. Looks like this one's a little bit longer than my first one, but that's okay. The fence just goes up into the purple part, but that's all right. Now, I did discover that this one's not quite long enough, but this piece right here covers it, so I'm just going to cut that in half. And again, put some adhesive on both sides. And then I'll just hang it off for the middle part of the fence and match this one up on this side so it hangs over. And then I'm going to put these pieces on with a dimensional, just so they pop up a little bit. And in case you're wondering, I will do some projects later, but today I don't have any. These ornate frames are good for lots more than just Halloween. You can use them to cut out lots of your greetings, and there are a couple that have this curly around, so imagine how beautiful that would be in some of the brighter colors, even on a Christmas card, to put that back behind your greeting, or in some silver sparkly glimmer paper. How pretty that would be behind your greeting, and how simple that would be. So don't shy away from this set just because it's considered Halloween. It definitely has a lot of uses besides just Halloween. All right, I'm just tying a bow real quick. And what I have is one of our binder clips that's in the annual catalog. This one I used silver, so they come in silver and white in the same package. And first, I'm going to get my M&Ms, and I'm going to get a piece of tear and tape, and I'm going to open this up. And I'm just going to take a little piece of tear and tape and put it on the back side. And then I'm going to put my M&Ms in here. That will be just enough to hold them. And then I'm going to take this little binder clip and just clip on the edge there. And now with that bow that I made, I'm going to use another glue dot and just attach to that binder clip. Let me put this one on so you can see them both. Now, if you're new to watching me, I probably should have said early on, I'm sorry. If you visit my online store and you make a purchase of $30 or more, I'm going to send you the pieces that you need to make these projects. I can't do any of the stamping, but I can send you all of the pieces. So if you would like to order this stamp set, you can. I will cut the outside pieces out for you so you don't have to have the framelits, but again, I don't want you to be afraid of ordering the framelits thinking they're only for Halloween, because they're definitely not. And I will share some projects at a later date. So if you're finding me right now through YouTube, you're watching the replay on YouTube, come on over and visit me at my Facebook page called facebook.com/stampitwithdebbie. If you would like to order, you can visit my online store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net. Again, with a $30 order, I'll send you the pieces to create these projects. I'm so happy that you joined me today. I hope that you'll join me again next Wednesday live for another free demonstration of 3 projects and lots of other projects over on my Facebook group. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you again soon.